right, welcome to episode 5 of the A/B Test podcast. I am Melissa Goodwin, and I am joined here with Steve Schmidt.
What up, what up? Fresh off of a Friday of lead generation where I feel like my face is melting.
You're wearing a suit, got a pocket square, looking fly.
It's not even real. It's just attached to the suit.
Oh.
You bought it at Men's Warehouse. It's one of those cheap ones just because I don't know. It's but I have better stuff to be more dapper next time. But this is a very convenient one. And if you hit the affiliate code below, just kidding.
Very confessional. You could have just rolled with it, but I appreciate that you're just so
A
transparent.
little overly transparent there,
Yeah.
didn't I? A little too much emotional intelligence.
Oh, a little too much.
High EQ.
High EQ, he says. Okay. And the wink. Ding. All right. So today we are focusing on all things LinkedIn.
Oh, gag me with a spoon.
LinkedIn.
Just
Gag you
kidding.
with a spoon.
Well,
Very 80s.
I have a history with LinkedIn. I think
Out the back door with the
what-
purple Twinkie. Wasn't that one in the 80s?
Oh, boy.
Gag me out the back door. That's what it was. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay, that was me.
We have different times, I think, where maybe we started taking it seriously. Melissa, you were on LinkedIn very proudly like 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
2005.
Yes, I was one of the first.
I wasn't. My cousin in the Bay Area told me
you
I had
about it,
gone
yeah.
out there, and he's like, you got to join this thing called LinkedIn. And I think I joined and then forgot about it for about 10 years.
Pretty easy to forget about back then. Unless you were
Yeah.
looking for a job, like there wasn't really a reason to be on LinkedIn. And I mean, I even recall like applying for jobs and being in the DMs with recruiters and,
Sure.
and being me, putting them in the funnel. And like that is, I certainly don't use LinkedIn that way now. It'd be weird applying for jobs if you owned a company. But also, it's just one of those things where I think for LinkedIn, for me, 2020, I started really posting a lot of video. And I think what I've seen the most is the algorithmic changes. And I haven't always been on the good, fortunate side of where that's gone. So I'm a little jaded, but also because I'm having other platforms perform better now. TikTok actually gets more impressions than LinkedIn for me now, and I don't put much effort into it.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where you go, well, LinkedIn is still getting the revenue. I think as a creative mind, going from, call it 10 to 20,000 impressions, niching the company down, now I'm going to 1,000, 2,000. It's pretty hard not to say like, oh man, it's still frustrating. Even though our clients are killing it, right? You look at it, it's just different for everybody. I want to go though into your journey. So talk to me about, you worked in corp for a long time.
Corp.
You had the
Corp.
shackles on you.
I did.
So
The
how
heavy
is it?
jacket and
How
the
is it? Because I
shackles.
don't remember. It's been about 5 years. I kind of remember.
Frozen hair.
Here was
Joe
my
versus a volcano.
Here was my memory of LinkedIn at an IT managed company.
Just
They
kidding.
they said whatever you do, don't post on LinkedIn about the company.
Interesting.
It has to be approved by us if you're going to mention it.
Oh, wow. When was this?
And then it's 2017,
Wow.
and I had just gotten sober, so it's like super.
So you just wanted to
Just raw dog in life, raw dog and everything. And they're like, everybody come in on a Friday. We need your usernames and passwords for LinkedIn. We are going to post for you. Everybody got the same post. And I said,
way.
I refuse to give you
Good
my
for
user.
you.
And they said, why, are you applying for jobs on there? And I'm like, I am now. And I was. And I quit the next day, as you recall. So that was how I dumped some kerosene on that particular dumpster fire and lit it even hotter. But I think if you looked back now, like that is ridiculous. Like, can I get your Facebook username and password?
That's crazy.
I want to post for our company on your social
and
media page.
I'm not even sure it's legal.
It's illegal in every way possible.
But-
I mean, there was a big uproar.
Yeah. Interesting strategy on the company's behalf. Not good. That's not
Well,
smart.
The look is one. Like, how does it look from the outside? Like,
Right,
now, you're
right.
just, if you're connected with a lot of them, use the same thing over and over again.
I will say, so when I joined LinkedIn, I was looking more because, I'm not necessarily a natural networker. I don't go out and glad hand.
Very draining for you.
If you say the word gala or fundraiser, I'm going to run the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I, just met my neighbor after like 7 years the other day.
It's pretty good, though.
So it's just not my natural state. But I did learn from a few coaches early on, like that your network is your strongest asset as a professional. So I knew I needed to build my network.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere around 2011, I just started connecting with everybody. I was like, connect all day.
Yep.
Totally random, not a good strategy. I did start to build that up to I hit the 500 number and I was so excited.
It's a big number.
And then I kind of forgot about it for a while.
Yeah.
I think I was working in marketing at the time, forgot about it for a few years. And then again, when I would start to think about moving into a new role, that's when you start to connect again. And then after a while, I would start to post things, but it was always that boring, like, so excited to go to the adhesives conference next week.
That's
Looking
nothing
forward
boring
to
about
meeting
that.
you all. The
Keynote speaker
Oh,
in
yeah.
Lobby C.
I'm speaking at the local hot dog convention. I
That's
don't
kind
know.
of cool, actually. I like that.
I would probably post that these days if I got invited to a hot dog convention. But, it was all that stuff. Like, that's what people were posting. So excited. And we're all so excited for, whatever. I do love seeing people's job updates. That's always a
Stop.
good
You're
one.
avoiding the question. Corporate. So you worked at a particular place as a leader.
Yeah.
You
Many
guys
of them.
used LinkedIn, right? But I didn't see you posting like you do now, kind of opening yourself up, talking about your day-to-day. Is that you that changed? Is it the corporate structure? Is it now that you do that for a living? Like, what's changed with you? Because I think that's the can that a lot of people are trying to open, saying, is the juice worth the squeeze? Because I'm kind of uncomfortable talking about myself.
Well, and I think in many cases, even still today, if you're posting on LinkedIn, your boss thinks you're up to something.
Oh, big time.
And that's for many people. So a lot of
I
people
know you've been
avoid
looking
it.
for another job for 6 weeks.
Yeah,
I've
so
been-
now I've been posting every day, so now you know what's up. But it is true that many people think that, and so they're afraid to post because they're afraid that people are watching them.
people are watching you. That's the good part.
Yeah, but I think that's just so short-sighted, right? Because LinkedIn has how many users on it? Like close to 1 billion.
4 billion.
Some of them might even be real people.
Oh, 1.2 billion now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So there's a lot of bots on there these days. We know that. A lot of AI nonsense, but there's
Let's talk about that for a
big
second,
percentage.
though. LinkedIn is going through additional efforts to clean up those bots. And the bots are not an automation engine. Bots are an automation engine tied to an endpoint that's trying to get something out of you, right? So to your point, it's not just the seat shares, it's also the dilution of the user base. And
Right.
that's, from my understanding, as we were educated a couple months ago, communicated, just sharing it with you guys, is that actually dilutes sort of the overall look. And so like they want to get rid of them. So the average user, whatever, is not diluted by, well, those are bots, right? Like how
Right.
much are you actually making per person? Because that dilutes it because they don't buy anything, right?
Diluted and delusional.
Ooh.
It's true though. It's very frustrating, and you see a lot of AI comments these days, and even you get it from like some random like. It doesn't even sound. It doesn't even sound
How
like
do you
a
even
person
answer
or a
them?
business.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause, someone asked us the other day, like, what do you do on those? They're like, well, actually, it's a good opportunity to ask questions and add emphasis. And I'm like,
Maybe.
they're like, make a joke out of it. Be like, hey, I know this is a bot, but it's a decent question, so let me take a stab at it.
Sure,
right?
that's smart. Okay.
Or they said, actually, I'm going to respond to this in ChatGPT in my voice since you use ChatGPT for yours.
I have done that. So I definitely recognized a bot question. I was like, well, I'm going to use a bot to answer it back.
There
and
you go.
That's one way to do it.
Bot action.
Get all like just imagine all these bots answering other
That's
bots.
hot.
It's just
Oh,
so
man.
wild.
Wow,
Yeah,
party.
exciting.
Exciting.
So why would anyone want to even deal with that nonsense these days? What is the point?
So when I first thought about it, and I remember talking about this with you, I was starting a business. So I thought, well, how can I promote the business, right?
Yeah.
So mine was very intentional around like, I want customers who I don't know. And I recall saying, I know I'm going to get some I know, but I want ones that I don't know. And I think you're like, yeah, that sounds good. And I met with Jake Dunlap and his team at Scale. They did a phenomenal job. Mackenzie Hazen, I believe it's maybe her married name, did a phenomenal job at introducing me to that world, right? Because I had no idea. I followed him. And when they said, well, what do you want it to look like? I was like, well, kind of like him. I want to look like I know what I'm talking about. And if you went back and looked at those videos, that's where you're at right now. If you're watching this going, okay, I'm going to lean in a little bit right here. I'm not sure if I should do this because they're terrible. I think it was something like this. Hey, everybody, what's up? We're looking to hire, and this is what we're looking for. So,
Oh, that's good.
thanks.
I will say I have a few sleep belt. I mean, it's in my car. Like that's when I think about. Sometimes that's where the good lighting is. So do it, whatever.
I'm with
Works.
you, and it works now. But if you see this video, you'll know what I'm saying. Don't do it like this.
Sure. Yeah.
It was kind of like this,
Yeah.
And I didn't think about the fact that it still worked, And so I think what it goes to show is, and actually the hard part about this is that called LinkedIn was producing insane revenue. And if you had to look at the correlation now, it's much more focused revenue, much more intentional revenue. And I'm of the mindset that less is kind of more in that aspect because at least my life becomes a little bit more manageable when I'm not worried about answering DMs at 11 at night just to make sure you get the lead, right? So I know my life
Yeah.
is a little better by not engaging in it. I still am victim though, and I'll tell you, Melissa, I make a post, I'll go back and look 5-6 times to see if it got traction, right? And
Okay.
I think I've untethered my emotion to the result of that. And I think as a creator, you need to do that. Just say, I'm going to post it. Like whatever
Yeah.
happens, happens. I think the next step is like, how do you get better? Like, how do I get better? Because I view LinkedIn as not like, I'm not getting started. Like, how do I now take our business where if you look at the revenue, we're going to double the size of the company. All those leads came from content on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that part is crazy to me. So as you think about the amount of business that you've received, not just anyone, but you personally
Millions.
on LinkedIn,
Not
just
in
from
my
people
bank
seeing
account.
your stuff. And I know even in our slide deck, when we talk with people,
Yeah.
LinkedIn's responsible for 50% of social traffic to B2B websites and blogs.
Yeah.
50%.
That's a
That's
lot.
huge. So there's business that's happening there.
Well, and it's also, you brought up a good point, the blogs. So newsletters, which let's dive into that next. I think it's super interesting and super interesting.
Super interesting.
Microsoft owns LinkedIn. LinkedIn is $5 billion company.
Okay.
They make
I
most of
don't
their
know.
money off ads.
Fact check that later.
Ads are driven by search engines. Search engine optimization is LinkedIn's game. So when people write newsletters, when they write posts, it is on the best platform to gain traction. And that's a huge benefit because you're now being powered by something that says, I'm ready for the internet and I want you to grab me as a piece of content, right? So I love that aspect of LinkedIn.
There's a lot of places we could go with this. One of the things that we talk about is the big brand B. So for us, it'd be magnetic. But
yeah.
for other companies, if you're a fintech company, it's your fintech brand. And then there's the people, the CEOs, the leaders, the marketing folks. Is there a reason, like, what should we care about personally posting stuff when we've got our brand name out there and it's got its own voice and it's got its own engine and it's running?
Yeah, let me tell you why. And this is straight facts versus call it emotion.
Straight facts.
Straight facts. So LinkedIn wants your company to spend money on advertisements. So no matter how great your posts are from the company, how good you are, it's going to suppress that by about 70%. Facts. Google it. And that's very good of them, right? Like they should want to go get ad money to force that down your throat, right? So organic people posting free. At least the concept of posting is free. Maybe not your time and the cameras and this stuff, right? Because there's levels, as the kids say, and we're on like level 3 and we're going to 10, right? So if you think about that, well, it turns some people off though, because they go, well, I can't do that. I don't like that. I want to like my friend Jimmy in the parking lot being like, sales kicks ass, peace out, Friday, woo. And Jimmy's probably not going to get a lot of leads that way. Jimmy might get a lot of impressions, right? So it's like, what does Jimmy want to do? Jimmy might say, well, LinkedIn's working for me because I like it, right? And to me, LinkedIn is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. How do I segment accounts? How do I partition ICP? Like, if I never went to the feed again, I'd still get a ton out of LinkedIn. And I think that's where I look at it. Like, I just try and use it a little bit different because the feed is distracting to me. And to me, it becomes doom scrolling very quickly. Now, be careful of what you consume because they say the content that you consume is what you start believing in, right?
So if I'm a company, do I invest in my people posting on LinkedIn? Do I tell them what to do?
Yeah.
Should I let them post whatever they want if they have my company's name on their page? I think that's a sticking point, especially for big corporations. And it's also why their content's kind of stale and quite frankly, boring.
So we've met with a couple companies this week. Just coming off of a big appointment this morning. It was really fun. I think we're going to bring them on as a customer. The number one thing we heard was we're getting pushed to do a lot more organic content, less polished content. So like this awesome AV company, they have to make polished content because you want the AV stuff to sound and look nice. But you also want to get a mix of the real life of this company because now that I can buy that rack anywhere, why would I choose to buy it from you? What is your story? Why do you keep doing it? Where did you get started? And so there's a story there, right? There's a father and a son. It's being handed off. We walked in the office today. We felt the vibe, right? Like, okay.
Because ultimately you buy from people. I mean, there are times you buy from a brand, usually consumers, right?
Brand confirms to me, like once I know the people are there, like right before you buy, you go to the website. Because now you're like, okay, let me go back to baseline where I first found these guys.
Yep.
or went to after I saw their LinkedIn, because that's another thing people don't look at. If you look at the correlation of LinkedIn with a tool like RB2B, you could see that a lot of people's last landing page, which is why they're successful, is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, your website, right? Ooh, interesting. Who does she? Oh, wow, this company's. So your landing page better be good, note to self, right? Because they're going to go there to legitimize it. That's it. They just want to look, scroll, and go, cool.
I think you might have invented a word.
Legitimize?
I like it. It's sort of like
Hypnotize. Yeah, that's good.
Stratomagic. That's one of my favorites.
Strategimatize.
Stratomagically. We stratomagically architected
The
scenario.
Stratomagic, $9.99.
Just make stuff up.
I like it.
But I do hear what you're saying. So essentially, companies need to think about not only their brand strategy on LinkedIn, but how their founders and leaders are showing up on LinkedIn. Now, you can't tell people what to do, but if you think about a company that really wants to grow, let's say you're a founder, you're a CEO, you have a small team, you're definitely going to want to be on LinkedIn. Now, you can't tell your team what to do necessarily, but you can tell your co-founders.
Lead by example.
Or others that are interested, have a vested interest in your growth, to be there and showing up and creating content that your clients can see. So they get to know you, they get to trust you.
Yeah.
They see you as a thought leader and someone who knows what they're doing. I mean, we've seen even with one of our clients where a person said, I saw your videos and I saw your videos and
they're weird.
a little while later when I needed, X product, I thought about you and I was like, he seemed like he knew what he was talking
Which guy
about.
was that?
I want to reach out to him.
I like that. The guy today said, I like your videos. And you said something about they're a little weird. And he's like, yeah, it's good. It's you. He's like, that's when I was like, okay, we've got an older gentleman here who does not look like he would like that kind of content, who's definitely watching it.
Yeah.
And this is where I say, if I were to give advice to anybody on how to use LinkedIn with brand and personal combined, I'd say personal drives top of funnel and bottom of funnel. Means it's going to get people in the door.
Yep.
And it's going to close the deal. Once they're a customer, they are your customer. They're no longer the personal brand person's customer. I think that's where people with personal brands get a little too much ownership too early on. I did this. It's all me, right? Mm-hmm. People like their stuff. And
Kiss the ring kind of a thing.
I mean, it is almost impossible not to get a little bit of an ego when that. I mean, I used to have people lining up at my door just to get 10 minutes on a DM from me. And that doesn't happen like that anymore. But it was a feeling that absolutely, if you're looking for validation, check the box, right?
So there is a bit of an ego element here to it as well that obviously we could talk about in business in general. I'm curious as you think about the strategy. So, what is there are certain companies industry sectors that do live on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Think about recruiters. Obviously they're on LinkedIn. Makes sense. IT. Why is IT on LinkedIn?
Oh, because they don't have anything to do. True story. Yeah, that's going to be like 6 days. Here's your ticket number.
Oh, come on. We got great
They're
IT
the ones
customers.
playing the games. Like there's what?
We have great IT customers. We do. So why is IT on LinkedIn?
Why do IT people use LinkedIn? I'm going to ask ChatGPT.
So, great question. So there's sectors like healthcare is on LinkedIn, staffing and recruiting, IT, huge on LinkedIn. There's some and finance. So
networking, collaboration.
Those were the top four industry sectors on LinkedIn all the time. So if you are in those industries, you should be there because all your colleagues are there.
IT is learning. They say learning from other IT professionals about new technologies, new trends, and new ways to solve problems.
Love it. So if you're in IT and you want to get more customers, start telling them how they can solve problems. Talk about the big pain points. Give demo explainer videos. Talk about new technologies, AI, how it's going to influence XYZ. That's what I would be doing, right?
Go back to like 10th grade for us when YouTube would have been just starting. Was that like college?
I don't think, maybe. Yeah, not for me. I'm a Gen Xer, so.
Some of the stuff.
I was still on Ask Jeeves.
I remember
some weird stuff. It was like a butler. I don't know. There was some weird search engines back then.
Some of the stuff I remember most early on was a YouTube video